My name's Matt Krnich, to be more precise, and I'm going to be talking about stories and characters because it's pretty important that you can't make a film about story or characters. It just doesn't work right. So films are not about action and special effects. It's about people and their lives. Even if those lives are like way over extraordinary, like most films are. We watch films to attach ourselves to someone else, to experience something else that's not our own. Therefore, we must believe the story is real, no matter how unrealistic the situation might be. As a filmmaker, this is our job to make this happen. Now, there's keys to the heart of every great film. They have a very unique story, relatable characters, and creative dialogue. Or clever dialogue, to be more precise on that one. Many narratives have the same premise, but they do it differently. They have little different plot points, little things that make it unique and fun. Characters should be based on exploits of real people, hence those we know. And clever dialogue pulls in the audience, grabs their attention, makes them memorable. So in stories, we all know, heard about how to make a story, the three-act structure, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, that goes basically beginning, middle, end. Each part very important, and actions go seamlessly together. We can't just have Act 1 and Act 2, 3 very good, because you need a middle, you need a heart of the story, which I see a lot of films do nowadays. Audience shouldn't be able to tell the difference between where one act begins and one ends, otherwise it kind of takes away the illusion of filmmaking. However, that is not absolute, especially in filmmaking. It's supposed to be. The basic principle of a story follows some sort of journey that we're able to get something out. If we watch a film and nothing happened, why did we watch the film? What's the point? What did the character learn? What did we learn? That's what films are meant to do. Like in my film, for example, Simply Lost, I just finished it recently. Its main character, Dawn, begins feeling very lonely, a lot of pressure due to the fact of taking care of her younger sisters. It ends with the main character feeling very lonely and due to the pressure of taking care of her sisters. They're very similar ending. You start full circle, start where you begin, same kind of thing. However, there is some change in her. Throughout her day, we go through a little journey, event. She pretty much gets to feel a little bit better about the situation. But there's no clear answer on that, and that's the point. Real life doesn't have clean-cut answers, and it shouldn't. Films shouldn't have that same follow-up. Typically they say the happy Disney ending when you watch a film, and everything works out in the end, even if, for example, Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one. Now, I enjoyed the movie until the very end, because it just felt like a Disney ending, because it was Disney. But that was the biggest problem I had with the film. And we don't need to have these happy endings. We just want something out. We want to learn something. We want to go through a journey. We don't need to have them if, for say, someone's dream is to win $1 million. At the end, he does not need to win $1 million. He can go, because he'll probably learn throughout, I don't need money. I'm happy with what's going on with me. And one quote I like to mention is from Joss Whedon, who did creator of Buffy, Angel, Serenity, Firefly. And he has in one of his episodes on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he says, quotes, he has a character quote, "The hardest thing in this world is to live in it." And that's the truth. Life has a lot of stuff that happens, crap, bad things. But there's a lot of good things in it too. So you just got to reflect on both of those. And again, I must stress, characters must go through something throughout the whole story. You got to be watching them, they got to learn, they got to grow. Even if a little, they got to grow. Otherwise, why are we watching them? Why do we care? And it doesn't matter where, when, who, what, or how the story takes place, but the story must be an internal journey, somehow. So for characters now, what makes a good character? Anyone? Anyone have any ideas? Conflict. Very good. Yes. Pretty much conflict, it means characters must be real. They must feel real. This means they must speak and act like everybody else. Well, not saying everybody sounds the same, that's the whole thing. Problem with films today is characters, they kind of follow a stereotypical formula. Writers have, we're watching TV or film, characters saying things that just seems like they're saying it because they think we want to hear it. It's not coming out of character voice, it's not coming right out of right. It's just what they feel other people want to hear. Many characters feel refurbished, same old stuff, and I mean, we want originality, otherwise, again, why are we watching something if we can see it another film? Like, why watch Terminator 3 if we can watch Terminator 2? I mean, Terminator 3 for the most part is the same thing for the first half of the film, Terminator 2 and 3. I like the last half of it, but the movie should have just started at the last half. I would have been fine with an hour of it instead of 2 hours with that. And the best way to develop memorable characters is just study your surroundings. Watch everyone and everything. Listen, learn. I mean, if you become a huge study of human nature, you'll be able to understand why people do what they do, why we do what we do. If you know everything about your character, then you'll realize why they act the way they act psychologically, and they'll basically be writing themselves. So you don't even have to go sit there, why is the character doing this? You've got to do this, and this. Just let it flow. That's pretty much all you have to do. And for my film, Simply Lost is based on a very close friend of mine. So we can say close to me. And I made up a lot of stuff that she does. I based it off the same story plot, but like little things, doing laundry, running around, picking girls up from school, and all these little stuff. I just like, oh, I should probably do that. And to my surprise, she actually does do that. She read it and she thought I was like spying on her. She literally thought I had cameras around her house because it was that close. But if you know someone that well, then you can do that. I mean, you can just guess what they're doing. And then, like on my film, The Words Left Unsaid, as my epic fantasy I wrote and directed a few years ago. It was my only award winner. But it's basically an epic story about love and betrayal in a futuristic setting where an assassin falls in love with the man she's hired to kill. Same old kind of story. We all know how that ends. However, this whole thing was based mainly more on my emotions than people I know. Of course, there's people embedded into it, but more of my feelings. And we can relate to it no matter, even though it's like in this really unbelievable world, all this weird stuff is going on. But it's dealing on a universal theme of love and betrayal. And as long as you get that down, I mean, people can follow through on it and connect to it. And if you can't connect to something, if you can't relate to a story, why are we watching it? What's the point of making it? Who's going to care? So my next little tidbit, dialogue. What makes good dialogue? That's refurbished. Pretty much in dialogue, less is more. Dialogue keeps getting worse and worse in television and film nowadays. I mean, I watch people talk and they do it in such mono actions, and they're like using big words that maybe make sense, but I have no idea what they're talking about, and no one else really knows what they're talking about. And pretty much the best film to study on this, I would recommend on anything of story, dialogue, and characters is Casablanca. Now that film is 60 years old and more than that, and it's still one of the best films ever made. Because it just has all this great stuff in there, which is a lot of the old Hollywood classics are made very well. And then for writing, I would recommend for a writer to study is Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon knows what he's doing. He's a perfect on his art, and I studied a lot of his work, and that's how I became able to write. One of the reasons why I'm able to